I thought that. Yeah, we got time, but no.
Jesus gave me a body. These are the same
All right, folks, it is 6:03 p.m. I will go ahead and call our study session to order. If we can start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk Mingle, can you take roll call for us, please?
Councilmember Williams, Reed. Here. Jackson.
Here.
Lawler.
Here.
Davis. French.
Here.
And Mayor Snyder.
Here. So our study session is to continue our discussion from last week on our 25 budget. So I will go ahead and turn the floor over to Director Clark.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Last time we left off, we got created, local and major street funds, and we were working on, street improvement fund. It's three pages, which is in your packet. Major police packet. Major street is about.
And last one, just.
What page are you on?
It's the fourth to the last page in the packet. That says major local streets. Count 450-000.
Let's say 1/3.
What you have, that I gave out earlier. Right, there's a lot on here that explains what projects are and how we're going and what we're doing. I think if you didn't want to keep it this. The street improvement fund is the capital improvement fund. They can do street improvements that are major using comes out of this fund or is accounted for in this fund. So I will go through this and see how we do this. So 2024 budget is we're going to be looking at the last four columns. The first two columns you don't have to worry about. So we're looking at the original budget, the activity through 10/30 of 2024, and the projected activity for 2024, and then the expected will be the budget coming up for next year. So as we look at the revenues, I think I explained this before. We budgeted for $2,338,000 on account 542. This was a grant that we thought we were going to get the money up front and then pay the bills, but actually the state paid our construction bills. And so we realized the money by then paying the bills. So we didn't get the grant money. We got a little bit of it, but not all of it, because most of the construction bills or all of the construction bills were paid by the grant money by the state, so we never saw the money. The amount that is shown is what our part of the construction that the city covered. And so as you read that, you'll see that explained there in 2025, there's a grant for $640,778. It's for 7 bridges prevention maintenance project that is coming up in 2025. And Well, on that subject, if we can turn the page and go to Department 533. This is where the construction is gonna happen in 2025. We're on Department 533, page 2 of 3. And you'll see there's some engineering costs that are gonna be involved. And there's also some construction costs that's gonna be involved. The project is also shown on your description sheet that I gave you separately. When I go back to page 1. It's also another grant that's coming for 2025, it's for 314,745. And that is going to be for the Green Road and Tubman Drive Reconstruction Road Project. And if we go to Department 530, down on the same page at the bottom. That is the fees that are going to be involved with that project. All the other, the grants will cover 100% of the fees. And also it's going to be done in 2025. So I budgeted for 2,904,661. The revenues came in a little bit lower, but also in here you'll see on the revenue side, a seller bonds for $2,790,000. Those are shown up front. We got the money up front, and then we will spend it as time goes on. That relates to the water or the road portion of the water system project for the new water tower. Roughly 2.8 million was to be spent on the roads and some reconstruction and water mains as well. That is shown on part 532, is top and second page of 3. This is where we'll have professional fees that relate to that in 2024 and 25, and we'll also have construction costs that relate to that in 2025. And that will all be 100% covered by the bond sales. The next is just miscellaneous contract services for wiping for contracted services. That's Department 500. I budgeted for 27,300, and 14,300. A little bit less than we thought. The next project is Department 530. This is for the North Albion Bridge Haven Road. This was completed in 2024. This is city match. All the construction is going here to the city match. All the other construction costs are paid by the grant directly by the state of Michigan. So all we show is what our match was from the city fund. The next department, 5530, that's the new drive program. Drive improvements, we talked about that earlier. Then Department 532 is another project, that's the construction part of the water system project. We talked about that earlier. We have new projects coming up in 25. Some engineering has been done in 24. We'll start with Department 532, which is the Albion Street Improvement Project. Again, all these are shown on this form in detail. If you want to read further out, it puts note in there showing that these are the engineering costs. Then we have 533. This was the 7 bridge preventive maintenance. We talked about that earlier. These are the costs that are associated with that project. Project 535 is the one Maple Street project that's also shown on this. And that's going to get started in 25 as well. I don't believe it's going to be completed in 26. And then we have our Stoker Plaza project problem. I showed that here. It's just an estimate. We don't have all the costs in yet. But I've been told by Jason and his crew, Elmer, that it's going to be about $250,000. Most of those bills should come in the last 2 months of the year. And your budget, you think for 25, and then the last, part of it are the transfers in. We really know the transfer. These are. And then I did add a third, corrected third page, which I gave out to everybody. And the only, things that I added that I noticed, like $60,000 transfer out to help service the bond sale. I also, will go over the service that fund that relates to that bond sale. That is the, quite a bit going on, a lot of projects coming up. Some, I'm just going to Haven Road, and the road out to Street Bridge, and then the other ones are coming up in 2025. About a third of them are going to be in 2026. So, but this sheet right here does a nice job of explaining what the projects are, when it's completed, what the grants are, what our city match is, and so forth. Any questions on the street improvement? A lot going on there, a lot of grants and other things, and some of the city elections.
So, looking at your revised page 3, it looks like between 24 and 25, we're up 208,000 or so to the good. I mean, we got a bunch of revenues in 24 that we're going to spend in 25, and we're still up $100 grand.
And I talked to the auditor, and I was going to set those revenues up in the balance sheet to the firm as we use them. He said, no, we can only show those when you receive them and work them out next year.
Yeah,
This was great. Yeah. So, yeah, we're not.
Quick question, does that give us more revenue for streets and sidewalks?
Are they gonna get some more revenue?
Yes.
This is only what I know. These are grants that have been approved and awarded, and exactly as you said.
Yes.
But we're
I was
always-
wishful thinking.
We're always looking for more. That's the street improvement fund. That's on 452, which got one page. The only thing we have there is just on the investment of that fund. Next year. Any questions on that? All right, we'll go to our special revenue fund. And we'll start with the recreation fund. First fund is the recreation fund. This fund is pretty straightforward. We get current classes that I'll pay for recreation activities. I'm going to do the 275, 724, and paying the 278, 489 next year, 293, the only thing we had to look on this fund, everything came out pretty close to what I thought it would be, but the middle of the column of the page, 2020. 2023, cost for a city contract with Battle Creek YMCA. The contract was over at the end of 24, and nothing has been shown to me. What's going to happen with the money in 2025 that some council has to discuss. And let me know before we put this budget out. Other than that, and just follow the thought we're gonna use, I voted for 79,764 project. We can put it 31,236. Which next year we're gonna be 268. That's going to replace one. Any questions on that? Next we go to solid waste. But 432. Page 26, solid waste fund. It also collects property taxes. I budgeted for 296, we actually got 313,955. Everything else is pretty much in line. Total revenues I anticipated were 432,397. And at 432,215. Next year I anticipate 4,815. Increased property taxes. And local stabilization revenue from the state. That's consistently. As we look at the departments, the first is the tree gun. We look at, I budgeted for 9,510, but there was a lot of work done by the DPW to improve the tree dump based on state requirements. I didn't budget for anything. This was something that came up and Jason took over. And so we spent 140,068 to improve the dump. Tree dump, it was a lot of dirt brought in. And
Elmer's back there.
Back here.
oh,
Just case.
Nothing to help on that?
Yeah, so, basically, we had a bunch of waste that was in there from previous, sweepings and stuff on the streets that we weren't through the state. We couldn't bring in, leaves and things like that, the full return like we had planned on doing it until we had that cleaned up. We were in violation, likely they didn't start hitting us on it, but that was coming, so. It was time to clean it up so that we could continue to, do the leaves, that was the whole plan, so.
So that really is what made that go up. 51,603. So we have to stare on the tree that was. Then we go to Department 527, of the solid waste. There were an increase in contractual services there as well. 133,000 coming out of digester at the sewer plant. That was mainly what made that go up, and there was some other construction services that were done out there to improve that site. I think the same thing that Alan was talking about. So a lot of work went into improving the site out there, and also this fund pitched in on handling the bill in that sewer digester sewer fund. And we discussed it and thought it was solid waste related. So that's what made that go up. I budgeted 143,990 and yeah, 192 we're at 330,68. Next year I anticipate 151,45 and contracted services should go down. And then we have our annual transfer out in Department 999, and there's a footnote there to show where that money goes, what it's for. That happens every year. So I budgeted for 233,897 profit. If you subtract the 190 contracted services, you have one budgeted, and 133 is some change for the digester bill. That's what causes the lose money. Next year, anticipating the profit of 285, 177. With the revenues of 493, 815, and appropriations of 208, 633. So just a lot of work done over on the sites to bring them up to code, and hopefully we won't have it next year. Any questions on the solid waste? Good. Moving on. This is our community development block grant fund. That's what the CDBG stands for. We had two projects going on here. We had a mental rehab project and we did the 110, 114 East Erie Street. It was 100% covered. by grants or reimbursements from the third party that we did the grant with. So we took in 489,209. And we spent 471,559. And that project is just about complete. We have a project that we added to it, the Mr. Chill grant. It's a community block grant. It's for improving housing, improving local livability grant, housing grant. And that is being, it's a $500,000 grant. Grant is shown there, 4,000 for 2024 and 496 for 2025. We also have a third-party administrator that we're paying $50,000 to, that's the EDC, there's a vote on that. And the city gets to keep 40,000. And 410 will go to the cities. And that is just getting started, and most of it will happen in 2025.
Yes, the question on that. That total budgeted amount will be, is that project going to be completed in 25?
The chill grant,
Yes.
I think it has to be, emergency. Yeah, does it have to be completed in 2025?
No, every grant's running around my head right now, but I can get that clarification of that.
I'm pretty sure that it has, that it does. Any other questions?
I can actually answer that. It has to be, the third party administrator agreement ends January 31st of 26. So by all accounts, the bulk of it will have to happen in 2025. But the termination date of the agreement is January 31st of 26.
If the work has to be completed sometime by the reimbursement has to be requested, so to be frank. Sure, would we hope that it would all be done by December 31st, but we do have that extra time to continue to get the reimbursements because it's all reimbursement.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on. On 265, the law enforcement fund. The original budget for revenues is 14,000. I anticipate taking 10,750 next year, 11,000. Most of that is just interest. And then these revenue for the other revenues. I anticipate 34,000. I think we're just up with 20, so I budget 20 for next year. You don't really know what that's going to be. It's stable. And then for the appropriations for that fund, I budgeted for 138. They came in a lot lower at 93,171. Most of that was because the contracted services were done. And then the bottom three lines are accounts 957, 977, 981. I budgeted for 40, 30, and 18. And it came in a little bit lower there. So that was a lot lower than we anticipated.
Chief, we lost our team.
And next year, 82,600.
What?
I necessarily put this addition, we have.
Any questions on that fund?
Yeah,
Zero.
A9 is 0.
For that,
What?
nothing was sent to me that had that.
Yes.
That's gonna change. Okay.
Chief, whatever chief tips out. Sure, you might look at.
Attorney Hartness.
So forfeiture is a very different fund than what it used to be. Even 5-7 years ago, the state changed the local laws on asset forfeiture. I don't want to say that they made it impossible, but they made it close to impossible for us to do it locally anymore. We used to generate a lot more revenue because we did a lot of work. Deputy Chief Kern used to be part of a bulk currency task force and with Department of Treasury and we used to work hand in hand with DEA doing seizures. But when that law changed, the only revenue that we're getting into this fund or stuff that we're getting state reimbursement for, or the feds paying for stuff for Deputy Chief Kern, is my understanding, because all the forfeiture ran through my office, and we have basically haven't done much of it since 2015 when the law changed. So
And this isn't the total ADPS.
No, it's
No.
it's the drug side.
Yeah, exactly.
I had forgotten that. Thank you, Colin.
Any other questions? Two eighty-one. Everything in at 32,364. This is basically services and staff. So 96 is for a loan bonds for the construction of the ambulance fire station, which was on 1/28, so that principal that we paid interest and paying agent fees, those were 100% budgeted, we had to do those beforehand. Transfer in from public safety bond payments. Those are there for all the years. It's normal. Okay. So, I think really made this go up based on what I budgeted was the second revenue line of the revenues. 14, I budgeted 27 to next year is just about the same. Well, so, last revenue line of 2,150,000, that was the sale of the building. That's all shown at face value, there's also a line in the appropriation section called commissions for the sale of the property, that is the 129, this is account 800. We're the 692 department. Everything else is pretty line, also did new security systems, the last column, that was no expense. Right before we sold it. But the security system there. So while we're on that subject, I was here last week and we talked about general fund. Transferring the money out of the Maple Road to the general fund. That was completed. And the total was 2,770,806. Will be shown as an additional transfer into the general fund and transfer out of the Maple Road fund. Now, the Maple Road fund does not exist. All the money is being transferred to the general fund. Just like we discussed last week. Now, the other thing that we discussed was the Albion Trust. I haven't done anything with that. I think Colin mentioned something about maybe there's going to be some contingency or something that we have to worry about. But currently, in that fund, as of the end of November, $174,921. That once we decide what to do with that, that will go to the general fund as well. That could possibly happen in 2025. So the total of those two will be 3,947, 3,945,737. With an increase in the general funds. On balance. Any questions on that?
Quick question. How much was the transfer out from the
2 million.
From the, to the general fund, yeah,
707,806. And that had-
Excuse me.
So when you see the new general fund budget, it will be increased by that amount
gotcha.
for revenues. I think the original was shown 116,000. This will be 2.6. Probably roughly. Then we go to our debt service fund. The first one was that extra fee that I, gave everybody, it's on 372. It's fund series 24 that fund. There's also a separate sheet that I gave it from Laker Hill. This fund. So when we did the water project, we sold some bond, 2,790,000. When we sold the bond, we were able to see what's called a bond premium. We have sold them from a rate that's higher than what we anticipated. So we got more than bond proceeds, or we got the bond premium included as well. So the bond sale at face value has been shown in the street improvement fund. Premium, which is the actual revenue we received of 211,103, is shown in fund 362. This is a brand new fund to service that bond debt. So that's our revenue. So you have good interest on that so far. And there's no principal payment in 2024. All the interest will be paid, and principal will be paid. The first payment will be in 2025. The principal will be 125, and the interest will be 135,520. That would be paid like that. The principal and interest going forward. So every year, the street improvement fund will have to transfer money from its fund into this fund so it can make the bond payments and keep them principal. So that's the $60,000 that equals what it's coming in this year. We don't have to give as much because we have the bond premium. Next year, the transfer will be for the whole amount. Principal and interest.
Yes, question.
Sure.
Your second to last column on that single peak we pointed out to us today was the 2024 projected. Which assumes it's the last 2 months of the year. It does not seem to carry the 211,667 that already exists. Shouldn't that be in that
Oh, yeah,
column?
yeah, you're right. I'll circle that, make sure I have it.
That'll make the numbers look better.
Yeah. Should be that picture. I think, what's that? So it will be, projected. Higher up to, thank you for.
Yeah.
Any questions on that? I will go to another bond. Debt service fund. Consistently to the 4.5 generator bonds. Put one down there, but we haven't done anything on top. A little bit of money on the balance sheet. That we carry forward each year, that's paid off, and then showing you that's paid, and it's coming up in 2025. They put a note down there to show where all the money comes from, and paid. Interest and principal on the bonds. So I budgeted for 26,125, if you get 26,395 loss. Next year, the bond is paid off. Yes. Just transfer it up to the big fund. Any questions on that bond? That's service fund. We have one more. This is called the 365 Gold on Water Project. This one, was paid off years ago and really should been cut down. So I did it this year. There's no reason for this fund to go on. No debt to be paid. It's all been paid off. So you'll see that I transferred the money back to the water fund. This up to, clear it out. The all the money originally came from the water fund. But next year there will be no 365 going on this project fund. All right, any questions on that? I'm going to do the recording on 569. We start at the top, that's like the revenue of 23,250, and given 24,450, given the interest. The administrative fees are the same each year. We take that to the finance department for we work on the fund. We also get a little bit of it from using that with the y'all, other revenue. That's based on just what it shares. Yes, 2,315 and 1,220. And then we have the fire and ambulance building. We get a rent on that. And then if we have expenses that are under the rent, we have to get some of the rent back. That's what we put no says. But for 2025, there will be no payment because the revenue or the appropriations were higher than the revenue for the rent. So I budgeted for 24,350. They actually spent 46,339. The difference is the 930 is building grounds repair and maintenance. There was some improvements in the fire building. And that's what caused the higher based on what I budgeted next year. See the questions. We've been pretty strong here, except they did some work on smart, but no. Any questions on that? On 569, okay, good. I went to the building debt bond, this one down, they've been shut down years ago. So we closed it down, we're not really building, it finished up in 2023, so I closed it down this year and transferred $295 that is left back to the general fund. So there will be no 395 next year.
Sweet. Last day,
Now, look at the enterprise funds. The water and sewer fund, or profit funds, they haven't made money. First one is the sewer fund. It's been on a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I budgeted for 2,202,000. It came in at 2,106,202. Which was only down a little bit for the services. I was very happy with how we did it out next year. I budgeted for the same. There are no increases that I know for rates next year, so everything is pretty much the same for next year. So let's really support it. And then our appropriations are the next column. I budgeted for 1,574,365. And it came in at 1,575,766. Pretty good. And then next year, 1,560. Everything's pretty straightforward there. Then we have the services that we just what purchase was. And then we have. So this is the. We have the big sewer system being rebuilt currently right now. You won't see any construction in the revenues and appropriations because it's all capitalized and depreciated. All you'll see is the interest and the principal on the debt. Excuse me, just the interest. The debt is shown up in the balance sheet. So the interest is shown in the appropriations. So I show the total amount based on the schedule. But we didn't borrow all of it for 2024. We're just now starting to borrow the money for the construction. And so next year, I only budgeted for half of what the schedule shows. Amortization schedule, because that's assuming that we borrow everything. And I don't see borrowing everything, maybe half. Because the construction will go on, and as the construction goes on, we ask for the money. So we only pay interest on the money that we ask for. Pay the contract. Which is different from the other bond sale, we got the money up front. And we have to start the interest on it full. This is a situation where USDA was asked for the money. We pay interest as we get the money. Not for the whole thing. Once the project is done, then we'll have used all the money, we'll pay 100% of the interest. That'll be 26, maybe. Starting at 26, 27. Any questions on that? All right, so we have transfers out, we did send some money over to the equipment fund for equipment that was for the council, and those are the numbers. Questions on the sewer fund, so I budgeted for 269, 304, we came in at 456, 629. We were about 100 times to the bill there. That's a bank. That is the sewer. Any questions on that? So that really came out nice. A lot better than nice. Okay. All right, now let's go to the water fund. This is Fund 591. And we've got some grants here. 124. We'll start with the top line. I believe we're pretty but we did get some additions based on some projects. 2025 grants to help pay for the green water system project. 75% of the grants shown the project will be done in spring of 2026. So the 2024 projected and the 2025 requested grant number is for 75% of what we anticipate to pay. The other 25% will be shown in 2026. There's also another state grant for replacing the water lines throughout the city. It's 100,000 582, 2024. 392, the project was complete and the whole project was paid by grants. The total was 401 and 74. And the construction was down. Construction. That's a pretty good job. Everything else is pretty good. So this is getting a lot higher than what I thought. So I was 2,253,992. Got 3,534,06. A lot of that is due to the extra grants that I'm showing and the extra service fees. The appropriations. I budgeted for 1,684,189. This is on the second page of 2. Third way down. This is for the maintenance of the sewer of the water system. I budgeted 1,684,189 and put it at 1,644,718. A little bit less. Next year will be a little bit less as well. Uh, Department 549, this is the water system improvement. The only thing here is the cost of the debt that was incurred. Insurance on the bonds to get the debt, or for the bonds to get the bond. And then, the interest is shown there, this, you listen again, is don't pay interest as we use the money. This is the part, -6. Interest is a lot higher. And again, we see no principal here because the principal that goes against the debt on the balance sheet. The only thing we'll ever see is interest. On the bond. Yeah, service on that sheet there. So. And then it transfers out. They all, the one also helped in paying for some of the equipment that purchase. And then it's shown in the footnote as well. That is the reason that it's up. I was 7,850, but you 13,850 because of the transfers out to help pay the equipment and equipment fund. That was 30,000. So that came in a lot better. I looked at the 561,953 and we ended up at 1,676,482. These numbers are high because remember all the construction will be shown up in the balance sheet. But this money will be used to pay for the construction. And once it's up in the balance sheet, then we start depreciating it over 40 years, and that's how we write. Eventually, you'll bigger number of depreciation. As the water fund, any questions on that? I can start internal service fund.
So Director Clark, given the time, we only have 10 minutes left of the study session and we have 3 more packets that are in front of us. I guess I'm going to ask council if you had any specific questions from these 3 documents left that you want to make sure we're getting answers for before we get to a regular council meeting to get this approved.
Yeah, the next one would just be equipment funds. Basically, it's showing profit, that's what it's paid for all the equipment. It's showing up in the balance sheet. And we appreciate it. But next year it should be. And then the other package, is the trust fund. So the trust fund, we did have some expenditures. There, a lot of there's a lot of work on the cemetery. Working on buildings. Some of that stuff. I just want to go on with the pension fund for the police department.
Which packet is that? Internal service?
It should be on the second page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in the first one.
That fund, and you know, what's that? They don't get it all during 2024 and. Sure, I love the same thing, it's like I know what it was. But if anybody has any questions on anything else that I not gone over, just let me know. call my office, or if you want to do. I'll do my best to answer any question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of hard work.
City
Madam
Manager
Mayor.
Terry, do you have any additional comment?
Madam Mayor.
Councilman Davis?
Were you, can you briefly give a TAC expectation regarding,
Well, I'm not sure what the tax. I know that what I could find was an $8,000 payment to, I think it's, Zoom. To help out with the transportation, this year.
maybe Calhoun County Transportation, yes.
Is that what we're adding to,
Yes. Yes,
I can find out for you, I just don't know now.
okay,
My assistant handles a architect, I do.
okay,
So I did that to her, but if you've got questions, I'll make sure she.
all right, thank you. We have a meeting next week, so just in case there was. Okay, all right, thank you. All right, thank you.
Do we have any other questions in regards to the budget for Director Clark? All right, at this point, I will open this up for public comment. If there's anybody in the gallery that would like to stand and address council, you may do so at this time. Just give us your name and address. And 3 minutes is yours. Seeing no movement, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Study session adjourned 6:54 PM. I'll be back at 7.